What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Drum and Barrel Podcast. And today we got to talk about the latest roster moves of the Chicago Bears over the last couple of days. And a lot of interesting stuff happened over the last couple of days. We've signed some quarterbacks, we've released some, we've added some tight ends, we've added some wide receivers, and today I want to get a quick little overlook over these players for you guys and talk about how they possibly could impact the team. And I want to start off with a player a few days ago that got waived, which was Ryan Willis, the quarterback that I think activated to the active roster even at last year's game in Seattle, where he was, I think, even the backup for Nick Foles, as Justin Fields and maybe even Andy Dalton were both injured. And Ryan Willis was somewhat of a fan favorite, just in a smaller kind of way. He had a smaller community, and he got waived. And in a counter move, the Chicago Bears signed the man, the myth, the legend, Nathan Peterman. One of the biggest NFL memes there are out there. Nathan Peterman signs a one-year contract with the Bears. And I mean, he's the third quarterback on the roster, just behind Justin Fields and Trevor Siemian. He will just be a camp body to fill out the 90-man roster for training camp. And I mean, he can still provide some good stuff. I mean, Nathan Peterman is a guy that somehow managed to stay in the NFL for 5 years with the Buffalo Bills and the Las Vegas Raiders, and he somehow always finds himself on a roster, and I don't know how he does it, but he just simply does it, and he can still provide some pretty good knowledge. He played behind some good quarterbacks, David Carr, Josh Allen. I mean, or did he play behind Josh Allen? I think 1 year at least. I'm not sure about that, but I think he did. I mean, they played against the Bears in 2018, so he definitely played when Josh Allen was there as well. So he played under some good quarterbacks and probably can provide some good information to Justin Fields as well. So I think it's an okay move, and it's more like a meme signing than an actual quarterback that is useful for the team. But let's see how he plays in training camp. The next move was also kind of shocking to me, and it was the waiving of tight end Jasper Horsted. I made a video about the re-signing of Jasper Horsted and talked about him in a very positive way, and I'm still pretty high on him. That's not the problem, but he, according to some sources, failed a physical test or was released with a failed physical designation, and I mean, that's super sad to see. I think Jasper Horsted was a pretty good tight end with high upside still young. And he had somewhat that connection with Justin Fields. He was a guy that caught his first touchdown pass ever. And I mean, it was just great to see his development over the years from a preseason legend to a player that also performed in regular season. But you never know with these failed physicals what the problem is. It might be a more serious injury. We don't know that. Or maybe he's not in shape. I don't know. But he's waived now, and he's no longer a Chicago Bear. So we got to live with that. Jasper Horsted, best of luck in the future, but he's no longer with the team. And also, just with Ryan Willis, the Bears countered that with signing Rysen off of waivers. I don't know too much about him, to be honest with you guys. But the thing with him is he's still a pretty intriguing player because he got some really good traits. He's only 24 years old, is 6'7", weighs 237 pounds, and posted an insane 4.6 40-yard dash at the 2020 NFL Combine. So that's definitely an athlete. I mean, we're talking about a huge tight end with very long arms and big length, physical body that ran a 4.6. That's pretty sick for a tight end. So he hasn't seen the playing field yet, or not in the regular season yet. I don't know what's with preseason, but I mean, the guy has some intriguing traits, and I don't know what he can bring to the Bears, but let's see how he performs in training camp if he develops well and maybe learns a thing or two in training camp and can really make something out of his physical and athletic profile. He would be a pretty intriguing player to me because, like I said, he's still young and got a big body. And the last two moves are at the same time the two most intriguing ones. The Chicago Bears signed Dante Pettis and Tajay Sharp, two wide receivers, to one-year deals. And I mean, those two guys are players that made a name for themselves in the league, kind of. And let's start off with Tajay Sharp, who is definitely a player I remember well from his playing time with the Titans. He's still owned at 27, 6'2", 194 pounds. So that's what I love about him, first of all, because he's that more big-bodied wide receiver that we're still kind of lacking on offense. Yes, we got a Quantum of St. Brown, but he's not that good. And Tajay Sharp is definitely a player that has produced more in his career than a Quantum of St. Brown. Like I said, he's still young, was drafted back in 2016 by the Titans in round number 5, and carved out a pretty solid career, especially early on, starting off his rookie season 2016 with 41 receptions, 522 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Followed it up 2018. He missed 2017 due to an injury with 316 yards and 2 touchdowns. 2019, 329 yards, 4 touchdowns. Then he spent 2020 with Minnesota, did not produce that much. But last year, 2021, spent the time with Atlanta and got some playing time again. Appeared in 15 games, had 7 starts, 25 receptions, 230 yards, no touchdowns. But still, a player that has somewhat produced. It's like with David Moore, the wide receiver that we got from Green Bay, or before that from the Seahawks. Just players that are later round steals somewhat, that still produced at a pretty high level. I mean, talking about over 500 yards in a season is pretty solid, especially for a 5th round pick. And I think Tajay Sharp is still a player that can offer a lot of good things to a football team, and he's definitely a sleeper candidate to look out for in training camp. I think he's a pretty solid player, and like I said, I loved what I saw out of him when he was with the Titans back in the day. And I mean, I'm excited to see what he can bring to the team, and pretty good signing by Ryan Poles here. Sneaky, underrated, more big-bodied receiver to look out for. And the last guy, Dante Pettis. We have to talk about him obviously as well. He's still only 26, so 2 younger wide receivers with some upside. 6'1", 195 pounds, so not a small receiver either. Was drafted back in 2018 in round number 2 by the San Francisco 49ers. And he also made a name for himself early on in his career with the 49ers, especially with his first year, 2018, 12 games, 7 started, 27 receptions, 467 yards, 17 yards per reception, 5 touchdowns. I mean, that's a really impressive rookie season. Had a 75-yard touchdown, and he's also a guy that's just dangerous with the ball in his hands. He got good speed, good catching. I mean, he's a player also to look out for. But the thing with him is the last couple of years, he really slowed down. The following year after his rookie season, he only had 109 yards and 2 touchdowns. Then he spent 2020 on 2 teams, on the Giants and the 49ers, and not producing that much as well. And in 2021, he only appeared in 3 games, hauled in 10 catches, and had 87 yards for 1 touchdown. So he's somewhat slowed down over the last couple of years, but man, if you get rookie Dante Pettis, you will still have a productive wide receiver 4, wide receiver 5, wherever you want to put him. And I like just in general these 2 signings by Ryan Poles. It's giving Justin Fields somewhat productive weapons that already showed the league that they can produce at a higher level. And I like them. I like them both. I think both have still kind of an upside in the NFL. And if just one of those guys can provide a great role in the Chicago Bears offense, that's amazing. I don't know the contract details yet, but I imagine they are not that expensive. So 2 very sneaky and underrated signings by Ryan Poles. And yeah, guys, that wraps up this quick little update video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Definitely stay tuned for the schedule that will be released tomorrow, or just even tonight for you Americans, tomorrow morning, very early in the morning for me in Germany. And yeah, I will definitely break down the schedule, maybe even make a prediction. I don't know if I want to do that in separated videos just to not make them too long, but let's see how that goes. Like and subscribe if you liked the video. Check out Instagram for the latest news. And as always, guys, bear down.